Oh wow, Litecoin is actually.
All right, we are live. Let me just grab the link. I think I put the wrong link in there. Hold on one sec.
Hey,
Ayo.
what
What's
the
going
Mickey?
on, guys? I cannot see the chat. Give me 1 second. I gotta just make sure I've got the right link. Got my dashboard up. Getting a nice little push from the bulls. Watching now. Did I get the wrong one?
I got nothing.
Nothing. Okay, here we go. What's going on here? Delete space. Is the right one? Update.
Okay, we're good. Yep, the one up there is good. And for whatever reason, I had to copy and paste the link instead of just clicking it,
Weird.
but it works.
Okay. All right, let's let a few people roll in. Okay, we got 5 people rolling. Okay, perfect. I'll post it in Discord again as well. Daily market updates. Okay.
Matt Chapman said, "I clicked the link." What are you trying to say? I don't know. I don't know how to
I
click
hear
link.
you. I clicked the link. Got it. All right, cool.
That's
All
cool.
right, guys, welcome back. Let's get our nothing is fucked, dude. Perfect. All right, so excellent. So let's hop over to Bitcoin. Okay, so if you remember our live stream from yesterday, I had talked about the 10,800 zone was the place to buy. It's where all the cool kids were buying. We got a wick into the zone. Not seeing much buy pressure. I'm going to bring up AgriTrade while we do this so we can kind of watch this together. All right, let's pop this out. Do you use AgriTrade?
Yeah, Tusky or Tuxie, I think it is.
Okay, all right, let me make sure all that looks good. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we got the breakdown we were looking for. I was hoping we were going to get up to 11,500, the middle of this channel, to fill up some shorts, but basically it just dumped. Buyers couldn't even manage to push above, get back to the middle of the channel, so I didn't have a chance to fill any sort of a short there. Break even on my scalp long that I was trying to take. Right now we've got a little bit of a W structure on the 15 minute. We can see we've got a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders, but still not super convincing. Not a lot of conviction. Still a lot of sells rolling in. I haven't seen many big buyers yet. So it's making me think that we might not be done yet. We did have a nice bullish divergence on the 15 minute that was a pretty decent little long scalp, about 1%, but on 10x that's a 10% move. Nothing too great. It's just been real choppy with just the sell off this morning, but then from there it's just basically been kind of chopping around. Let's take a look at the 30 minute possible inverse head and shoulders on the RSI. This looks most like a bear flag. I've got to assume that they're going to try and test this liquidity zone one more time around 10,750. Now, we do have a lot of confluence in this zone, and I'll just kind of come up with all this stuff while we're doing the live stream here, but there's a lot of confluence with a few things. So first off, we've got the 0.5 fib here, which is basically what we just tested. That's 10,750, and that's from the low to high. And then if we draw from the high to low here to here, if we draw the high to low, we're basically sitting right at the 382 Fibonacci zone. And so if this breaks and closes and holds down here, I can imagine us going back down to the 236 to test this previous zone back here, which would be 10,300, 10,400, approximately around that zone. Now, we are currently holding the 30 RSI on the 4 hour. The hourly has dipped into bearish control zone. And if you remember from yesterday's, basically I said if we lose the 70 and we can't get back above it, that's usually a bearish indication. So on the hourly, we've been bearish since over here. We're showing definite downside. This is the lowest RSI has gotten basically in 20 since the push out of 3,200. And so what I would look for is I would look for a bit more of a divergence, possibly, one more test down and then get that divergence to the upside. So I'm not convinced this is our zone to hold yet. I'd like to see a little bit more bullishness. 4 hour showing a lot of indecision, but if we look at our moving averages, we do have some confluence in here as well. We've got this 200 MA, which I posted in the VIP chat a couple times. But if we look at that 200 EMA, it's been a really, really, really solid reactionary exponential moving average almost all of 2019. We can see, I'm going to move this out, but we can see basically when it broke above it here, it's been support, 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 support all the way until we had that parabolic break, came down, the 200 EMA got front ran there. And then here it came down, tested it 1, 2, 3 times, tested it again here. And then it came down, and then once it breaks through, now that support, dynamic support, now becomes resistance. And so then it rejected us here, rejected us here. We got a head and shoulders here, took us back down. And then now we've broken above it. And this is this is basically our first test of the 200 EMA. And so before, when we tested this, we tested it once, twice, 3, and then we got this nice bullish reaction, but it was very, very choppy while it was kind of making up its mind and making its decision, but it was defended incredibly well. It actually looked like it was forming a bear flag there. So what we want to see is we want to see something like this where it breaks out above topside resistance, comes down, retests it, and that's a good confirmation of a buy zone to buy. Now you can definitely ladder in an entry on the 200 EMA, like let's say 10,700, 10,800, if you want to go with a small position on spot. But that's a decent area to watch for on this 200 EMA. And we also might might come down and test this 200 EMA. But I do like to see when they raid liquidity a few times, meaning they look to fill their long. So they put in a wick here. I like to buy after those wicks get put in. I don't like to try and knife catch while we just kind of stay here. I like to see at least some sort of exhaustion wick go in, kind of like this. Usually when I see something like that, it's a good place to go long because it looks like they basically capitulated any high time frame long sellers. From the daily perspective, let's take a look. Let's pull up our moving averages.
Yeah, daily found the 20, tagged it, perfect.
Okay, I'm on the whoops. All moving averages. You mean the 20?
20 MA, yeah.
Yeah, tagged it to the money. We're on the 20 MA, so there's a lot of confluence. We've got the 20 MA on the daily that was picture perfect, short, or long opportunity, basically to the money, 10,750. The RSI is currently at 50 right now. So this is the bounce zone. If ever we saw one, the bounce zone is the 50 on the daily. That's the bullish control zone. Once we lose that 50, like you see here, then it typically tends to give us a pretty decent sell-off. This was 20%. So if we lose this 50, then we can expect definitely downside momentum. All right, let's see what you got, man. What are you thinking?
Yeah, same deal. Everything you got, all the same logic applies. I mean, we're right here. Of course, we're at the swing fail. No change there. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days on the fail. 3, 4 down. So just at that zone right there, what that is that's the 50 MA. That's that dark gray one right here. And then that's the 20 MA coming in. So 20 MA daily chart is a pretty good gauge on the daily of just strong trends. So you'll see very similar to the 200 EMA. You'll see it'll break it, test it, ride it, steer away from it, come back to it. It's like a magnet, right? It's like glue. Even though we lost it in this zone here, right? That's an area of accumulation. That's okay. We just broke from an area and then we got it right back. And sure enough, here we go. We broke it here. This is all a downtrend until we just broke above it. So for typical price action, coming back for retests on specific levels and dynamic movement averages is, I mean, that's money. That's what we like to see. If we look at patterns, right, we do still have, it's a little difficult to see on the daily, but this is your Adam, this is your Eve bottom, this is the neckline, this is the retest right here. So we're on that level as well. And as you already pointed out, all the fib levels for Confluence. So as risky as it looks, you'd hate to look at this and say, yeah, that's bullish, but it's support. So it's temporary support, and we need to monitor it and see if it reacts appropriately. Volume on the way down is convincing enough given the history. History volume has not been very good. This is right at average for volume down on daily. So enough people were interested in selling it. It would be a different story if this candle was painted on very little volume. There'd be a lot less interest, so only a few people are moving it. This is right about average. So you're talking a lot of money is being moved in order to make these sell-offs. I do absolutely agree that if we are to hold the zone, it's going to be just that. It'll be a zone, and it should be a zone for a little while. We need to exhaust all of those orders that are in there. Everybody's been screaming 10-8, 10-8, 10-8 for, I don't know, the better part of 3-4 weeks. So to finally have it, I would have liked to seen a much bigger wick on something like the 4-hour chart, and just didn't get it. I was expecting something a little bit more dramatic, and we didn't quite get it. Something more like this, where you come down and everybody had buy orders ready to go, and they just bought it up and bought it up and bought it up and refused to let it sell off anymore. That wasn't the case over here. I mean, we had the 4-hour come down, and it stuck there for a little while. Then this trading, even though it painted itself a pretty nice doji over here, that wasn't the case during live trading. So if you watched it as it went down, it hung out in that zone for quite a while. So all of this is built into that one candle, and it's just not all that impressive. So on the hourly chart, losing your fast EMAs there, this is a 7 is the white, 9 is the red. Losing the fast ones over here and having all price down below it, that's pretty typical for this style downtrend. So you can see like it's all slow bleeding, slow bleeding, slow bleeding, and then you get the big dump. Big dump comes up, finds a little bit of support, pushes back up, is still unable to close up and over that on the hourly chart. So until we can at least reclaim at least a 7 EMA on the hourly, there's a lot of work to do. And again, volume, it's not good. Volume just in the last few hours has kind of peeled its way back underneath average, and that's not a great thing. Most of the volume came in for the dump, and that was it. So there was a lot of interest pushing the price down, and then once we got here, there wasn't a whole lot of interest buying it back up. And that could set yourself up for the second half of that play. And if the second half of the play ends up being anything like what we've seen in the past, what you'll get is an area of resistance that'll stay there for quite some time. So this could be resistance for, who knows, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. And we could come down, we make one step down, we go sideways, another step down, we go sideways, another step down, and then we go sideways and then back up. So this would be like almost like a 3 drive or a 3 ladder move. This would be step 1 of that. Way too early to call anything like that, especially on the daily chart, but it's an idea. So it's something to look forward to. If we do go down, there are areas to at least look for in this secondary trend. I'd be looking at that for temporary support if we lose the 20. This blue line here, this is the 70 EMA. That's this guy right here. So that, for whatever reason, works out fairly well with Bitcoin, especially you can see just on the daily chart right here, holding the candle body closes just under over here, but did come back up. So was holding as support. So we do have a lot to look at. Unfortunately, not too much that we could look at, let's say, on the smaller time frames. 15-minute, 30-minute, hourly are great for what's happening right now. But until we breaks and close something like this on the daily, it's going to be very hard to tell what direction we're headed in. I would have no problem going sideways, allow Bitcoin dominance that we'll eventually talk about, allow Bitcoin dominance to swing down even lower, find support on trend. Eventually, this could take 3, 4, 5 days, which would give this area enough room to accumulate, get all those buy orders out of 10.8, and then that would be an area of interest to long, in my opinion. But you'd have to break this level here for sure, and in doing so, you've broken the swing fail, which is this first trend line here. Once you break that, close above it, then I feel a lot better about getting to 14. But right now, it's being held up only by a few things. I love all the confluence in this area. I'm just I'm disappointed in the volume, and I'm disappointed in the buying. The reaction, I think, has been kind of weak. Something like this, I would have felt a lot better. Some big all wick down here, and all the bulls come in and say, nope, we're going to hold this zone. And look, they did. If you get something like this, you can feel pretty good about that. Right? This is all buying. Refused to close that candle any lower than 94.68. And that's why 94 is such an important level if we do break, right? So if we do end up losing this, right, 94 is your next major target. You got areas at 10.4 and areas at 10.2 and areas at 98. But I think 94, I think everybody will sort of agree on. Once you look at the chart, that's the zone, right? So if you're looking at something like this and you're looking at previous support resistance, all of this makes sense. I would even drag this guy down even lower and get something going on like that. This gets us back into that 88 zone. And then down here, we're back in that 84, 83 zone. So there's a lot of interesting levels here. The triple bottom level would be right about 9,000. So if you were to drop and maintain and then lose, right, not only all your other MAs, but your trend as well, this could be a triple bottom scenario. And that could be enough to at least test this trend line, that original swing fail, just to get out of this accumulation area and back into smoother trends. So, I mean, for the most part, it looks good, but we're really hanging on by a thread at the moment. Like I said, without the volume, it's just very not convincing. It could easily break, and when it does, it's one of those $1,000 candles to the downside. And then, all of a sudden everybody's up in arms and they're like, what happened? Yeah. I am really surprised we didn't get stop hunts during this move. I find that unusual for Bitcoin, especially in the ballpark that we're in now.
What do you mean you didn't?
Well, because I believe that the shorts have taken control, have they not?
Yeah. Well, the funding was really bad for longs. That whole section up top, which is why I wasn't adding any spot or anything in there. Yeah,
for a move like that, on the hourly chart or even the 15, I just expect one of them $300-$400 wicks up, just to knock out the rest of the longs that are trying to reclaim their position, or the shorts that got in too early. But it may just be too early for that situation. 10.8 has been on a lot of people's radar. So like I said, I'm disappointed with the buying, especially after all the talk of 10.8 being support, and then, to not really see it. I don't know. It doesn't say much for confidence in support. But it is holding. It's holding right now, and it has held. We did come up. Let's see what the actual numbers are here. From our low, 1.15%. It's not bad. For an asset that's trading at $11,000, it's $124. So from the low, that's the buyback right now. So not bad, not bad at all. We're going to close this candle down in 9 minutes. So, we're going to see how we open. I would imagine that we're going to open somewhat bullish, and how long that lasts will probably determine how this trend is going to look.
Yep, I'm seeing something very similar. Let's switch gears over to some of our trades that we've got open. Let me and some of the watch lists we're watching for. Okay, so FTM was a trade we had open earlier today. Looks like it's getting a little bit of reaction, but we lost this trend line and we tested it and we started falling back underneath. We're currently holding the 20 MA, but I didn't like the look of it, so I just closed it. I wasn't feeling really confident in this trade specifically, just because we lost this overall trend. And what I was hoping for, and what I've seen with a lot of these altcoins, is a pullback to either the 618 or the 786. Most likely in this case, just because there's nice reaction from before, but I was looking for that for a 618 pullback. But so that's I closed FTM and then I opened Raven. I really like the look of Raven. Looks like we're testing our entry zone. Looks like on the 4 hour, we're holding we got the 2050 cross. I'd like to see that 2050 cross. Our fast EMA is coming up. 335-ish was our entry zone. Let's take a look. Yeah, Raven still looks pretty good to me. Daily, a little bit of indecision going on here. It looks like the Bitcoin dominance is probably having a little bit of impact over here. We had this nice breakout to 345, but it couldn't seem to get the closing on it. Yeah, so this is what I was looking for. So we broke out, we tested this 200 EMA, and we're sitting on the 200 MA that supported us twice. And so if this breaks and this kind of closes down here, we can close the trade, break even, no big deal. And this is why we don't like to chase. I was really hoping for a push above this 100 MA, 200 EMA. But still, I like this W structure. I like it when it pulls back. It gave us a perfect pullback. This looks very, very similar to Matic. It looks very similar to Dust, where you get this nice impulsive move, a test on the 200 EMA, and then a pullback to that 786, and then one more impulse up. So I'll be looking for a little bit of a flag pattern and then a breakout to hopefully push and test up these 364 levels. Link is actually looking very clean right now. Link has short term, it's broken above all of our long-term MAs and EMAs. Broke out, retested this 200 MA. That's where we bought from our signal, and our signal is already up 10%, hit target 2. On the 4 hour, we are testing that 200 EMA that rejected Raven. So we could see a bit of a pullback here, back down to 2150, 2140, down to the 100 MA that acted as resistance from back here. But very, very long and extended consolidation pattern. Looks most likely we're in a channel. Bring this up. So all in all, I really like this trade for possible continuation to the upside. It would be very, very good if we could break above that 200 MA and just break out of this channel and test that as support, and then we're back in business for a continued bull run. Now there is some announcements coming up from the Web3 Development Conference. The CEO of Chainlink has alluded to some big announcements. So we're playing the technicals and we're combining them with some fundamentals, but well worth watching. It's still in a nice uptrend. Looks like it's recapturing some of our long-term EMAs and MAs over here. We did get a 2050 cross, but we are trying and attempting to close above it. And those are our two open trades. One trade that I did put out in the reversal channel or the continuation channel was COS. We are currently testing our trend line right here. As we can see, it came down, tagged this liquidity zone, and then it popped really, really nicely for 32%. We're testing that again, the 20 MA, as well as our long-term trend line here. I'll get rid of these MAs so you guys can see the structure a little bit cleaner. So we are testing that here. So if we do get a reaction, first target would be a retest at the 2618.304 for a potential double top. But if it can break through this, then next target would be the 423 at 357. Crypto really loves to run to that 423 level. This has a very good structure. It looks really, really similar to back here. You see how it kind of grinded up, and then eventually it just had this nice high volume blow off. We may see something similar where it challenges maybe not the all-time high, but maybe down here, 37%. But I like how it's uptrending. These are really, really good to buy on pullbacks. Lately, I've been trying to keep our positions to 2 to 3 max, but if you do like more action, make sure you're following the breakout channel and the reversal channel. And then the last one was Matic. I'll just do the analysis on this, and then I will go get my daughters to sleep, and then I'll let you take over and cover some more.
All right.
All right, so Matic, this was another trade that I posted in the continuation channel. And again, I post all the setups in there with stop losses, targets, take profits, and all that. Let me see if I can find that. Let's see. We've got the... someone said that the link is not working. Is the link working on the... the link working on the...
In the Discord?
Yeah, it seems to be working. The link working on the...
In the Discord?
Yeah, it seems to be working. Let's see. Someone just mentioned.
Get your link. Get your link.
Okay. So Matic had this nice bounce up. Let me just kind of pull up this breakout trade. So one, I just posted one as a potential breakout trade at BNB. So I added a breakout channel. There's a continuation channel. These are high probability setups. I'll just open this real quick. Now, we're not always going to get the exact level, so it's important to kind of, you could take positions, watch the trade, but, all of this is very similar. So I myself did not get a fill. It bounced before my fill, but if this is something, if Matic is something that you want to long-term hold, this is, just gives a good trading thesis behind it. So what I was watching for was, I was watching for a pullback back to this liquidity zone where this candle was before. One more test before the breakout. What we can see on Matic is we did not get this. This was my zone right here, and it basically that zone got front ran as support. I did not get my 135, 136 fills, so my greediness got the best of me on this one. But so we do have a nice 13% bounce off of that. We're getting a nice pin bar structure here. And Matic's just one that just looks good on all time frames. It had this nice bullish pennant. Like I said in the channel, measured move would be about 60%, and 60% would take us way up here. Okay, man. I'll let you take over for a bit. I'm gonna go get my daughter to sleep, and make sure you guys are asking all your questions in the chat on the YouTube chat. Get all of your...
They sound energetic.
They are. Well, I just took my daughter to the park, and man,
she should be tired then.
So much energy, man. Holy Moses. We did all kinds of games. Okay, let me bring up AgriTrade here. 3 million long at 870 on Deribit, getting limit sold into. Never seen an order that large.
Yeah, well, the big dogs come out to play, you know what I mean? Especially volatility during the candle close. Candle just closed down 1 minute and 4 seconds ago. We do have buying is the first on the menu. This is the 15-minute chart that's on here right now. Taking a look at some harmonic patterns that could play out. We shall see. Too early to tell for all of that. We are currently being held back right at our fast AMAs on the 15-minute chart. So time will tell how that looks. We did close the candle out. Let's see what the actual close was. Looks like 10,854. So let's just double check that on the actual candle here. So our official close, 10,854. Opened up at 11,389. Hit a high of 11,438. A low down to 10,746. So it's $534 down. It ends up being about 4.7%. So large candle, we haven't seen a candle that large. 1, 2, 3. So 4 days ago, we had our 4.8%. And then we've been sort of sitting around these little baby candles, you know, in the ones, the 1.3s and the 2s. So it was a large candle. We do see where our 20 MA has moved up. So the actual trend itself is continuing. Test down here that would make sense would be 10,797, 10,788 for today. That will push and pull with price as it moves. So it's not it will change during the course of the day. But we did have buying in the 15-minute and we got selling right now. So too early to tell for what's going to happen with that, but we will, of course, monitor Bitcoin 24 hours a day because that's what we do. All right. What kind of charts do you guys want to see? Go ahead and throw it up in the chat and we will we'll pop them up. We'll take a look. We did mention dominance before. I'll go into that in a little bit more detail now while we have a little time. So when we did break resistance, right, we closed above that resistance level at 69.6. We ended up going 69.9, and then we ended up pushing right back down. So we gave it all back. It's kind of like a false break. That happened a few days ago, and now we're, 1, 2, 3. We're 3 days into our downward trend. The overall idea is probably 1, 2, call it 3 more days, somewhere in the 66.88 zone. To retest and flip this longer trend. So this trend that has been against us for quite a while, resistance, 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 flip, expect support, may or may not get it. I mean, we will see, but that is going to sort of determine how the rest of the market operates. If we look at the larger channel in play, it has a huge way to go if it is to play that channel. And then you're talking into the high 70s, 80s, and that would be probably utter destruction for most alts. Certainly mid caps would they would have a tough time keeping up with that pace, especially if all the volume was going into Bitcoin as opposed to some of those other lower mid caps. All right, Decred. All right, Decred, DCR, BTC. Let's see, Decred. I don't think Binance has them listed all that long. Let's see, Trex probably has the most history. Even that's not impressive. February 2016. Decred's been around a hell of a lot longer than that. Let's see, Polo. No, DCR. Let's see. Well, I don't want to go to hit BTC. I don't think yeah. All right, so we'll have to stick with Trex. DCR, BTC. Let's go with Trex. And let's see what we got. So Decred, very interesting project here. Let's start it off right here on the weekly chart. And let's dive in. Let's take a look. This is sort of how I look at a chart. If it's clean, I'll start on the weekly, depending on the history. Get my horizontals out here, right? Lock it up, and then just kind of go to town here. Key levels are levels of obvious support resistance. For now, we'll just turn these into I'll go yellow today. What do you think? You guys like yellow? Good. So another key area here. Again, this is a weekly chart. Right, so I'm looking at body close, wick. So this is buying area down here. If you were to get down there, key areas of resistance right here. Bang, bang, couldn't quite make it, and then this looks like a fairly obvious level of support. Support broke. Right, so once you have those on, from the macro view, it's pretty easy to see what's shaking here. Right. We had our larger, area at play, obvious downtrend, failed to make a higher high. So that's your big swing fail right here. So you can start it up here on the wick and then work it down, right? And then for something that changes like slope-wise, how this has such a dramatic slope difference, then you throw a new one on, right? So that and then something like that. Now your first swing fail is this guy right here. That's the first time price came up, right, and failed to make a higher high, and you have an obvious price reversal. So you could throw it on there for now first and see where it gauges. And if that doesn't make sense, then you go to your secondary swing fail like that, right? So what we'll do is grab your other tool, right? Not the trend line tool. You grab the ray and then let the magnet do the work, right? So now you know it's perfect. It's on there. And this way, when you get on the daily chart, probably clean that up a little bit and see if we actually broke it. But we could see the obvious levels here, right? This is an obvious level of support, right? Resistance, quick, flip, break, push. And now we got the same thing right here. We're right back on support. So on the weekly level, you start to see that some of the stuff makes a little bit more sense. If it is to start buying here, this is a good spot for it to buy, right? So let's go over to that daily chart and let's take a look. So now, like I said, once you're on the daily, right, you're going to have to clean some of these lines up. It's just how it works. Like the weekly is not going to be perfect to the daily. So it's just, you like to clean it up a little bit, make it precise, make it correct. And then this way, you know, your lines match the rest of the world's lines. And then you understand how they're trading because you're trading the same way. So what we got here is kind of a situation. When you break trend, all right, so keep this in the back of your head. When you break trend, you want to break it clean, right? So this is a clean break, right? And then you want to retest, bang. What you don't want is to go sideways and range for the next 2 weeks. That puts very little faith in the move, right? So this is what we got out of this break, right? You can see the levels of resistance right here. So this whole thing is just a zone. Right? It's just a ranged out zone. Ping pong, right? You come back, you break it, clean break, you come back, you retest it, right? So I guess we could drop this a little lower if we had to. Since then, we dropped back down. We had a level of support, and what happened, right? We saw a reaction. It came down. We got more reaction right on our trend. So this clearly identifies that line as being significant. A big push up off of it, failure to get a high above this level here. So you can mark something like this, you know, if and when we get back to that zone, this could be an idea like, hey, you know, we might see some kind of reaction in that ballpark, push back down, and then what'd you do? You flipped it. You flip what was once support into resistance. So 1, 2, 3 days of resistance, drop back down. Where did you find yourself? Right back on your trend support again, and then again sideways. So we could see that Decred likes to do this. Right? It's like range trading paradise right here. Right? Buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. You could do that all day long, so long as you keep hitting those targets. Once you broke it to the upside, down came south. And where'd you land? Right back on that trend line. Lost a trend, false break, push up above. That stays bearish. Push back down, another false break. 2 false breaks in a row. Push back down. The next attempt was a failure. Pushed over sideways, right? So again, no conviction, right? So if you break it and the level is convincing, right, then that's something to, you know, pay attention to. If you break it and it's just sideways, like it just bleeds over, there's really nothing to look at. So you have just on the daily all these levels of accumulation. There's all range trading in here. And you're doing all of that while you're dancing around this trend line. So again, what happens, right? This history just repeating itself all over again. We lose the trend line. We come back, we retest it, push back the other side, close up above, smack our heads on what was once support, which is now resistance. And again, this becomes our area that we focus on. So this zone right here, I have to turn the magnet off in order to actually get to it. This whole area right here is going to be suspect. All right, until you have a clearly identifiable reversal, you're still very much in a downtrend. So once we have all those areas marked out, right? Once we have like the identity of the chart, we know the price action, we understand how people are trading this particular coin. then we can start laying our fibs up, right? So once we do that, we say, okay, now that we've got our own lines on there, let's see if we have any confluence. So bring that just about, well, I'll make it exact at home. But for now, we'll just take the closest levels we can get, something that at least makes sense. All right, so once we push up, we take a look. Do any of these areas have confluence with what we just drew by hand, right? We take a look, we say, all right, we had our low, we had our high, we drop back down. We found support where? At the 886. I mean, right at the 886. This is perfect right there. So what does that tell you? Right off the bat, that tells you that fibs are respected by these traders, okay? Doesn't matter anything else. Now that you know that, now you can decide how this thing is going to continue to trade, right? So at least you have one edge, right? You got one piece of the puzzle that you didn't have earlier. They respect levels. Look at this level, respect it. Support, push up, what'd you get out of that? Right? If you were able to play fibs, say, all right, I got that, blah, blah, blah. 82%, 82%. All right, and that's just fib channels. That's all you're doing. You're just playing the fib. Push up 886, smashed to 78, came over into the 709, pushed up into the 618, and never quite made it to the 5. So 618, this move right here, this is another area of concern. So 618 is always a big deal, and that's why it's red. So then we push back down. We lost our 709, push back up. Okay, we had a little activity going on here in the micro trend. Big spikes coming up for Decred. A little wild. Don't like seeing stuff like this, not on these types of coins, but we deal with them because we have to. 2 opportunities to get out at the 5. Not a bad deal. Push back up, hit the 382, and then failed, right? So from the 382, this is our initial climb back from our high, and that's where we get our swing fail from. So I would have liked to see this happen at a better level. There's a good chance they were trying to stop at the 382, and momentum just pushed and pushed and pushed it up. So you got a little carryover. That's fine. Push back down, found support at the 5, only temporarily, came back down, tried a 6-1, push back up, resistance at the 5, dropped, completely crushed your 618 right here. But what'd you do? Came back and you gave it a little retest. That was nice, right? Push back down, found support at the 7-0, 7-0, drop back up, push, resistance, 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 push, big break to the 6-1, failed, right? Instant failure. Came back down, another retest at the 706 right here before dumping, finding support at the 786, and that is welcome to accumulation. Here we go. So 7.8 to the 8.8, right, on log scale looks like a pretty big deal, right? And it ends up being a very large area of inconsistent trading. Either you hover at the 7.8 or you hover at the 8.8. Right? That's just kind of how it works. So we're hovering at the 7.8 before the break. So we're hovering at the 7.8, it's resistance, whatever, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, all resistance. Big push up to the 7.0, right? Drop back down, and you're just dancing, right? You're just dancing around the 7.8 until you finally lose it. This level right here, I'll put on the chart. So let's say it's going to be basically right about there. That level right there sort of determined that you're going down, right? You lost it once, but you found support on historic. Once you push back out, you found accumulation on historic. So you did get a nice reaction here, and then you dropped a little bit further. You rode the trend, accumulation, range, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, and then back down. So now the 886 is the new dance, right? So now you're hovering on the top side of the 886, just like you hovered the top side of the 786. So we know how that played out, right? You play it out, and then you lost it. So this is what you do right here. You play it. Guess what? You just lost it. So we're looking at repeatable patterns that are going to happen over and over and over again. The idea here is that you had a range, you dropped it, you lost it, came back, you retested it. So the idea here is you have range, you dropped it, you lost it. A comeback for a little bit of a retest would make sense. And if you're going to ping pong on the support line, that's okay. But failure to reclaim that 8.8 is over. right? So now you got to look at these levels and say, all right, well, we have a level down here, right? We have this, well, really, let's say that level right there. So this level sort of coincides with this level. Yeah, push that up a little bit. That'll be more of a zone than it will be a specific level. So give that one a little bit of love, you know, a little bit of love to the upside and a little bit of love to the downside, because this is all wicked out trading right here. But this was your initial drop. This is your swing low before the all-time high, big push up, first big move, right? First area of resistance before the pullback, and then a smash through with a retest. This, when you talk about like price action, you talk about structure, this is exactly that. I mean, this is classroom ideal material to memorize, right? This is beautiful. This is a huge downtrend. Okay. Finds a level, pushes up, finds resistance, pulls back, winds up the tape, smashes resistance, pulls back, and tests resistance. This one got a double test, doesn't always happen, and then smash for new highs. So this, if you can understand this behavior, you can look for that behavior in everything you do on every chart you ever look at. This is not a Decred BTC thing. This is not a crypto thing. This is an analysis and charting and price action thing. And you'll see that time and time again on every chart, on every pair, no matter what. That's how it works, right? It doesn't always play out the same. This isn't considered a pattern. This is just price action. This is just structure. This is how trends are formed and impulse moves are calculated. Pullbacks are expected. Buying is adjusted for. This is how you have people catch knives. This is how you have people sell tops, right? They measure adjustable, repeatable patterns that make sense as far as structure is concerned. So on the bigger scale, it just looks like bang, 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 which would be an ABCD. And this would be something that, you know, you can learn down the road. But if you just take your little tool here and you go A, B, right, C, D, bang, 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 then the idea is that you'd be able to measure the minimum distance of this move up, which would be like a 3.618. So you can see it went even further, right? Even further than that. So it started out about 0.6, 618 would have been better. But again, it's not always going to be perfect. Sometimes you just get something close. So technically speaking, from wick to wick, it's a 6.0. So it's a 60%. So 61.8. So if we were to throw a fib on just that move, just that local move right here from the bottom to the top, I'll show you that should be very similar to a 618. So we'll just bring this up here, right here, bang, bang, 618 right there. Right. That's like the magic of, you know, learning this kind of stuff. See that? 618. Boom. Support right there. I nailed it to the sat. Nailed it. 618. So the idea is, if you can understand the structure, if you can recognize these types of pattern, that'll help your trading down the line. So when you look at something like this from afar, you could say, okay, well, I see we have major levels of support. We have major levels of resistance. See that every time we came to a major level, we hung out there for a little while. We accumulated for a little bit. Then we eventually lost it. So I'm not putting any faith in Decred doing anything like this anytime soon. Not when everything on the chart is telling me the next level is more structure right here. So if that's the case, and you're a reversal trader, which is high risk, but if you are a reversal trader and we do lose that 886 convincingly, in other words, we do push back up, we fail again, and then we just ride this trend down, this is the level I'd be looking for, this zone. And I'll do zones instead of specific levels because of this, right? You don't have a very specific one sat level that coincides here. The top of this area, right, is exactly where you want, but because you have traders front running, you can't use those anymore. But do you see it? So the magnet's on, right? The top, the very tippy top, where I'm at right now, this level, this exact level, 150922, and then shoot it across and tell me if this did not touch it. The low, 150798. All right, so 157.98 and 159.22. Come on, man. That's pretty close. But again, that's why you adjust it for zones, right? Even though you may not feel super comfortable laddering in and out of trades, it does adjust the RR. This is a 6% zone. That's pretty big. So this would be something that you would put X amount of your capital on, position size it correctly to allow for something significant like that, ladder into that order, right? Because you're going to want to front run some of those people if they are going to be buying over here. And again, it's a counter trend trade. The entire trend is going down. So you don't necessarily want to, throw the kitchen sink at it. If everything is telling you continuation to the downside, you are just praying that you're finding the right level where it finally decides to get a reaction. So you have to be extra careful. This would have been the best zone for that, and if you did do it here, you would have lost, right? So that just shows you how that does not work all the time. But this would have been the most appropriate zone to buy as we came down here. And the 886, it's huge. It would have been a very nice double bottom, long-term play, stretching back, from December 17th. So it would have been a huge double bottom move, and barely even got a reaction, right? Just hung out and accumulated for a little while. So, it's a big deal that you lost it. And then the next level, you got to look for historical, which is this guy right here. And after that, you're basically down to double bottom on the bottom, if not new all-time lows. All right, so that's Decred. Hey, very nice. What else you got? Mathy. That was deep analysis. Yeah, no worries, man. Sorry, sometimes I get lost in the chart, so I don't look at chat as often as I should until I'm kind of done rambling on about nothing. Michael Fleming, Raven. Jacob did Raven. Were you not here, Mike? Let me throw it up. Let me see. I don't have his chart. I just have my chart, but Raven is doing some things. Raven just got set up for a fairly nice call. What we're looking for is this bottom play right here. So you can see very strong to the downside, good resistance, push up, right? Pull back, another higher low. So now we're forming or trying to form a reversal similar to this zone right here. But again, you came down, you had a higher high, you got a higher low, you got a swing fail right here, but you did push and break. And then you found this area right here that was nope, just not going over here. Once you struggle in that zone, so this is considered a tweezer top. So a tweezer top is essentially, it's crypto, right? So it's 24 hours, as long as you have volume, right? Then the previous candle body close will be the, next candle body's open, right? You know what I'm saying? These will always be identical. What won't be are the shadows or the wicks or whatever you guys want to call them. So a bearish signal is this right here. This is a tweezer top. So a tweezer top is basically saying price action came in, the buyers tried pushing for a new level, and they failed, right? So that's okay, right? You opened all the way down here. You pushed the price up, you pushed even higher, and the bears came in and said, no, we don't want you getting past X level. All right, no problem. Then the next candle opens and they say, all right, we're going to try again, guys. We're going to do it. No, not only did you not do it, then the bears said, you know what, we're just gonna take it, and they just take it, and they take it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 days. Same thing here, right? So the psychology behind it is exactly the same, right? You pushed up, you're on a nice trend, you push up, even though it's the tiniest little bit, it's the level, right? It's the psychological, we won, you lost, I'm taking my toys and I'm leaving the sandbox. And that's exactly what we're dealing with here. Is they push the price up, it gets denied. All right, no problem. We open the next candle. Let's try again, guys. All right, let's try again. And they get smashed. You know what I mean? So it's like the first time they're willing to forgive it. And then the next time they won't give this candle away for free. So the bulls say, we're going to try again. And that's when the backhand comes out. And, you know, they got like a ring on every finger. So it's like, you know, they start breaking teeth. Not good. So they smash it down. Now, this is almost considered a false break to the downside because you gave it almost all right back, right? It was like whatever you lost, you got right back, but they didn't care anyway. So this ended up becoming sideways accumulation. You can see it's a little bit of a symmetrical triangle, and it broke to the downside. So now here we are again, right? Another straight up trend down, one level of hesitation. And I bring that up because these are levels that we look for. You know what I mean? So let's get rid of that. Let's get a little box over here. Yeah, we like our boxes. So this area over here is going to be, you know, an area that you expect reaction no matter what, right? So no matter what happens here, it could just be a wick up real quick, bang, and then gone. So in there and out before you even know it, but at least a reaction of some kind. Now, I have these levels down here. So as far as the fibs are concerned, let's take a look at this just on a whole, right? So we see like the way Raven started was it got listed, it dumped, whatever, it found support, smashed up, and then it just gave everything back. So it's literally 100% retracement. So, you know, for all the people that were mining it, they were like, yeah, it's great, it's awesome, build it up, and then okay, it's time to go. So they just sold it out. And then after the sharp drop, you had one sort of reprise, and I was like, yeah, forget it. Just let it die. Then on February 26th, for whatever reason, I don't know, it smashed. And it said, you know, we're bringing it back. Now, this is very unusual for what we've seen in crypto. As far as this move right here, so pay attention to this. That move right there, that initial attempt at all-time high, swing fail, right? Coming right back and attempting it again is something we are not seeing a lot of today. We're seeing a lot of swing fail and then a series of cup and handles and slow trends and big dumps. Like, it's just a total nightmare. This is how it should be, right? This is good. This is a huge impulse move up, volume coinciding. Everybody's like, hell yeah, we're bringing it back to all-time highs. You get yourself a nice pullback, which is healthy for trends, right at the same area where you had hesitation, and then you smashed it. And you didn't only just smash the all-time high, you crushed it and then some by painting a new all-time high just from the tip. 64% higher. So this is what you like to see. This is healthy. Now a pullback from here makes sense, right? Because, you know, you can't be parabolic forever. That's just, there's no way to trade that. So you ride it, right? You had a nice drop right here. I would imagine tons of people took profits. A lot of people probably didn't get back in over here. They were probably too scared. And I don't blame them, right? The volume was a lot lower than the original push. They did get 2 big days of buying. And look, again, like we just talked about a second ago. So Raven seems to be a big fan. Oh, it's not. I'm sorry. It was blocked. I thought that was another Tweezer top. I was like, hey, wait a second. So and then it smashed over all-time highs and then dropped, right? So now we're dealing with that aftermath here. But again, right, where are we at? We're almost all the way back down to 100%. You got to remember that this move started down here, came up here, all-time high. So proportionately speaking, right, we should have never came all the way back down to these levels. This should have been kind of our resting spot. We should have seen a huge reaction here, and we didn't, right? Price came down, it stopped and moved up 2 days, got a shooting star and just dumped. I mean, it was a joke. This should have been held like, the Lex Luthor and Kryptonite. I mean, she should have been shooting this over to Superman, being like, yo, dude, get a hold of this stuff. This is not good, right? This was a dump. So that shows you very little faith in Raven on these levels, right? On the historical support resistance level. So you can put faith into them for what they are, but don't expect it to hold and change the dynamic of the actual, coin itself, right? This is strong downtrend and it stayed in the strong downtrend. Where did it find support? On the 786, right? So respecting fib levels, 786 support pushed up. Where'd it go? 618. Perfect, right? Came back down where? 706. Found support. Drop back down again where? 786. Support. Push back up again, right? This time trying for the 5. Couldn't quite make it. Got slapped down by the trend. So that came in and said, kind of ruined the party and said, why don't you hang out by the 618 for a minute? So it did. Crushed by the trend again, pushed it down to the 706. What did it do? Hung out for a few days. Bang, right there. What did it do after that? Dropped to the 786. Again, what did it do? It hung out 1, 2, 3 days. Right after that, what did it do? It dropped right down to the 886. Do you see? Step, 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 step. You could target every single one of these, right? It's perfect, man. It's like clockwork. You might not hit it sat for sat, but you got to get out of that, sat for sat mentality, man. It's just like you need to be aware of the area, right? The area of interest. That's what counts, right? Don't worry about the specific sat. 579, 579, whatever, dude. 580, 581. 578, 577. Give yourself a little bit of cushion here, especially over here, right? You're in the 500s. It's okay. 500 is still low. If it was like 1,000 or higher, 4 digits is nice because then you can give yourself a little cushion. When you're into like 1, 2, 3 sats, obviously there's no cushion, right? It's just then it's sat for sat. But you're cool, man. Give it a little bit. You're all right, no problem. And it just dropped, right? 618, 706, 786. 886, like freaking clockwork. So what do you think the next step's going to be, right? 1, right? But that being said, when you have historicals that'll come in and give you, confidence, you got to play the rest of the market, right? So what does the market tell you? Double top, smash down. What is Bitcoin doing? Dominant, dropping. What does that mean for Raven BTC? It means if Bitcoin's going down and Raven's a strong player, then Raven's got the opportunity to outperform Bitcoin, if only just temporarily. I mean, this thing could easily go all the way back up and shoot back to the 618, no problem. And that would satisfy this as a big giant bull. But if it doesn't, what's your next target area? Back to the 1, right? That just makes sense. So if it hovers on this zone for a little bit and we do get ourselves something similar to this, then we got ourselves a nice looking trade. So even though you're here, right, you're on the 886 and you're like, all right, well, I'm going to target the 786, right? That would be a great trade, but you didn't make it, did you? No. But if you did, it would have been 32%, which would have been fantastic. But you didn't. You lost the 886. So what do you do now? 886 comes up, makes a low, makes a higher high, makes a higher low. Now you have something to look at, right? Bang, just like that. So now you get your little tools out here and you say, all right, well, I got myself at least a line, right? It's a trend. So if I were to play that and say, all right, well, I'm going to bring this back up here, but I know that I need to be looking for structure. I know that I need to possibly get out of this at any given time. So what do we have, right? We have levels. That's why we look at stuff like this. So we say, all right, this was a level of resistance. So what does that mean? That means I'm taking profits here, if not cutting the trade, right? My target is 786, but my profit target is going to be this level right here. Why? Because it was an area of resistance earlier. It only makes sense. So we push up and then bang, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, we got the reaction down. We had one opportunity to exit the trade before further downside. So it's the same deal over here, right? We're looking for, well, let me fix that. We're looking for the 886. And we lost the 886, right? We lost it, right here. So now we have a low, we have a high, we have a higher low. So what do? Same thing, right? We take our little arrow over here and we're like bang, bang, bang. And we go like this and we say, all right, let's put the arrow on the 886. So we'll just stretch it out just for the hell of it. We'll do something like bang, like that. All right. And you'll have to adjust that if you get one or two more candles that drop a little lower, you have to adjust for your slope. But what are we looking at here? Hesitation on the way down, right? So for me personally, whether it comes to profit target or not, right? If we're targeting the 886, this is the area I'm looking at first, right? This is the zone I'm looking at where, hey, maybe I should take another look at this and say, maybe I'll pull some profits out here if we do end up trending up and everything looks good. If, like any other trend, we start breaking to the downside, well, then you got to make some adjustments. When you start breaking to the downside, you have this area right here of support, right, which is just a bottomed out area that gave you support once before in the same trend so that it does hold weight. And then, I like to say, right, just look left, right? And all right, you had an area of accumulation, but all of this is junk. This is junk. That's good. That's good. This is junk. And that's good, right? So the junky, choppy stuff is just whatever. Those areas are too big. They're just considered accumulation zone. Not a whole lot you could do there, except for sort of take the average volume in that ballpark and then smash it in there. All right, so once you have that, right, you low, high, higher, low, bang. You have a trend once you capture this level, right? Where we at here? Trend. There we go. All right, so take the top, right? Even though the top is somewhat risque, people will say, right? And then take your bottom level, right? So like if you're on the daily chart, those body closes are sometimes far more important than the wicks. So it's an idea, right? You want to look at that. Now that you have this, you have a plan, right? Now you can say, all right, we're cool. I know we have to come up to this level. I know we have to break and close above it. Then our next area where we're going to see some type of resistance or some sort of activity or something I need to be mindful of is this. Tweezer top, tweezer top. Tweezer top knocked you out both. That's what created the double bottom. That's what pushed your trend. That's what gave you a lower low. You got to remember you're in a downtrend, right? So this is a counter trend trade. And so they're already inherently more risky. So you need to be watching for those, right? Because those are indications that'll tell you, hey, maybe I want to either raise my stop, or maybe I want to pull a little bit out, lower my risk. Maybe my position size was a little too high. How's the price action reacting in this zone, right? Is volume good? Are we above average? Is it healthy? What do my other indicators look like? What do we got here? So I look at something like this. This is a momentum indicator. This is called TTM squeeze. This will show you like Keltner bands, Keltner channels. And this will sort of show you like very much kind of like Bollinger bands where it sort of squeezes down the price. You expect a reaction. Same sort of deal, right? So now for 1-2, this is the second day we're pushing momentum to the upside, right? For the first time in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, whatever, 2 weeks. So that's something I would look at right there. I look over here. What do you got? You got a MACD, or you got a MACD, signal lines crossing. You have almost complete convergence. So what do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ticks. You got 6 ticks from the south side going center line, breaking north, right? So that's a big deal. That's also bullish, right? What else can you look at here? You can say, all right, well, I got these 2 big giant humps. Do they mean anything? Well, all right, so you got this one over here that's high. First, you got to do this, come over here and bring the crosshairs over. All right, so now if I line this up, say, all right, my high, so that's way the hell over here. So now we can do this, say, all right, this is my last high. MACD, bang, right here. Look at a crosshair over here. That's my high. That's my high. Then I got a lower high and I got a lower high. So that's cool. No divergence there. But over here, we got a low side, right? Here's our low. Price is right there on the crosshair. And then bang, over here, right? We got another one. But what happens now, right? MACD didn't go as low. It didn't drop as low. It didn't drop as low. Over here, price got lower. So what does that mean? Right? Divergence, right? So if you're ever looking at lows, you're always talking bulls. If you're ever looking at highs, you're always talking bears. And what I mean by that is I'm looking at the low side, low, low. I'm looking at price, low, low. So what does that tell you? If you have low price, right? So price is making lower lows, but your indicator is making higher lows, that's considered divergence, right? And in this case, because we're looking at lows and not highs, it's bullish divergence. So bullish divergence is showing you it should go in the way of the indicator. The indicator is leading the way, right? The indicator is showing you that price is not justifiable, right? It's showing you that these lows, this lower low should have been higher, right? The indicator is indicating that it should be going higher. So you're looking at divergence here. So this is another good situation to put weight into this this trade. So these are all things you look at when you're diagnosing, is this trade a trade I want to take? And then once you have all of this, right, again, this is just on the daily. Once you have all this, you drill it down. Get down to the 4 hour, get down to the 1 hour, see what the price is actually doing. Why is this candle like that? What happened at that zone where we got all that selling came in the second we hit this price, right? But again, we know we have our historical levels. We have our bottom level here that we drew on. We know that there's probably still a lot of people that are sitting there waiting to get their sell orders sold so that they can either exit that trade because they've been stuck in the downtrend, or you got more people trying to buy this level and get a better deal. Right? They think they're going to get the reaction over here with the big push up. And sure, they'll take it down a little bit further. They'll ladder those orders in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% because they feel strongly about this as being a double bottom. So if they get the double bottom zone, yeah, sure, they'll get 2, 3, 4% extra free for nothing because this is their trading plan, right? Their target is all the way up here, if not higher, right? Back to the 886 like we talked about earlier. I see Jacob is back.
Hello. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What are we looking at?
Somebody asked about Raven again, so you weren't around, so I just figured I'd throw it up.
Yeah, Link's making a nice little move here. Nice. It's got a really nice bullish closing. Looks like we're heading towards T3.
Link's up 2.1%, 4.2% up on volume.
Yeah, Steam made a freaking nice little Chad candle.
Go Steam.
I was looking at some BitMEX charts as well.
All right.
Hold on. Litecoin looked like it looked like it wanted to break out. I was looking for a long on Litecoin.
Excellent. Yeah, Litecoin I think was doing good earlier on the BTC pair and dying on the USD pair, unfortunately. Yeah, USD's down to 84.30, down 0.28%.
Yeah, we had this nice 0.618 pullback. That's what I was looking for. And it had this nice reaction, and it pulled back to the 382. And it looks like we're going to want to push up here. Nice little cup and handle formation.
Excellent.
What are you seeing? Anything of interest for you?
No, I was playing around with what is this? Dusk. So Dusk was making me mad earlier. But it is well within trend. Its lows are still higher than its previous lows, and its highs are still higher than its previous highs. I did have a very low time frame wedge. It broke to the south side. We did push up. We got the retest, and then it dumped after that. So not overly shocked. But it's one of the few coins that seems to still have decent volume. I mean, it's at least 3.5 million on the USDT pair, which is more than I could say about most coins. I mean,
Yeah, the volume is
OMG.
just dropping. Do you want to bring up your chart?
Yeah. Let me see. So let me dump this. What do we got here? So these are things I'm eyeing up right now. So this is Litecoin USD. This is Matic USD. This is BNB USD, and this is Link USD. So these four I look at here, and then these are my very small hyper time frame scalp opportunity coins, and that's what I'm looking at right here. So these all kind of move in unison. This is FET, Seller, Matic, and One. And so Matic, I was looking at Harmony One. Yeah, so these all kind of dumped right in the same zone, ballpark area. Seller got two good pushes up, and then that ended up dumping a little bit further. And then FET's trying to get its way out of this ugly trend, and it's just not working out so well. Let me see Dusk real quick on here. Ooh, didn't spell that one right. Okay. This chart should be clean. Yeah, because all that's on the other one. This is it's like that hockey stick we looked at earlier. So as far as, larger time frames, something like this, you just can't chart it. That's my opinion. There's not a whole lot to look at. There's just no history. But you can at least get an idea on major levels, right? So we could do this right here and say, all right, well, at least we know for now, 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row with almost a test. We could say that is for now an area that we could call good. We'll call some support there. But we do know this as well, right? We just talked about hesitation on Raven. Same deal. What do we got? Resistance. Where's it at? Right where we're trading. So we smashed down. We had resistance, pulled up, pushed, lost it, dropped back down. And then we had a nice, huge move up, right? This big candle set the tone, dropped down, made a higher low, dropped even further. So this right here is either, it's either going to be an 886 or lower from based off of this low down here. So huge pullback, not unreasonable in crypto. Pushed up, got sold off, pushed up, solid body candle. So when you see, this is considered like a Marabuzzo, where it has almost no shadow at all. So it opened, it didn't even attempt to come down any further, smashed all the way up, 40% candle, got yourself all the way to the top and almost closed dead even, right? Instead, it did get a little bit, tiny bit of selling right at this resistance level. Push back down, doji spinning top, nothing to do here but indecision. And then the next candle, which should be confirmation candle of this trend, ended up coming in bearish. So I'm waiting for this candle to push and close above this level before I really want to see anything dramatic. In the meantime, I don't mind playing all the interest stuff. So there's trends within trends like you wouldn't believe here. And this trend right here is beautiful. You have a very slow bleed down, drop, double bottom, push, right? Big pullback, another push for another high like we just talked about. And then you got the big drop. So it's probably an 886. It looks like it's pretty damn
close to the probably even almost 100% retrace.
Yeah, even further, right? So even further. So body wise, support 886, but they did close underneath them and did get that one big wick that was actually close to 100%. And then from that level, it's been up. So even though we're intraday on this whole zone, this is all trading. This is all uptrend. Uptrend looks good. Right? Expect resistance right here at the double top. Exactly what we got. A little bit of push down, but that push down is still a higher low. So when we look at trends, low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So you would expect, outside of anything dramatic, that the next move would be a higher high. One thing about price, trading, charts, analysis, the whole 9 yards, and trends, a trend wants to stay in a trend. It always does. Right? It's much harder for a trend to get knocked out of trend than it is for a trend to stay in trend. Consider it like the momentum of a car going down a hill. Like it just wants to keep going down the hill. It's going to take an outside force of some magnitude in order to stop that car from going down the hill. Now it may hit, like a bush or a tree or a rock and just stumble a little bit, but it's going to maintain its momentum, right? Still wants to go down the hill. This is the same deal. So for this thing to come out of trend at this point, this is now your major lower low, right? It's going to have to dump lower than your 382, which is nice because you have Fibonacci support. So you got a 382. It's going to have to dump low, closer than that. Now that you have a channel that you could play off of, this would be a level of support you'd be looking at. You lose that and you lose the low, forget it. There's no point in saving it. You don't want to just hang on to a losing trade. And you say, all right, well, you cut your losses and say, all right, well, we're no longer in this trend on the micro side. On the major side, you still have your low, your high, your higher low. Expect this, and all of this is intra-trading, right? Micro trends within larger trends. And the bigger picture is showing reversal, right? That's, there's not a ton of history on here. So you can only go with what you have. And what you have is a high, a low, lower high, and then a higher low, right? So now you have a double top, expect a drop, and then a push. If you don't get the push, then you expect a double bottom. Right? And then we would have a triple bottom. And then from there, you're looking at support to hold. And if not, further downside, maybe down to 127. You could go 1414, 1618. Depends how market reacts to that kind of structure. But again, something like this you have no history on, so you can't dial it back and say, hey, this coin loves double tops, or this coin loves double bottoms, or this coin loves harmonics or Fibonacci's. Like, there's just, it is respecting some of these Fibonacci levels, but it's also abusing the hell out of a few of them. But the 618 is respected. That's key. 382 is respected. That's key. 236 it's a little muddy on the 2-3. 886 was not respected. For the most part, it was a little bit abused over here. So that's got me, a little hesitant just on this. If we didn't use the wicks, maybe we get a different story. But
real quick, I wanna jump over to Bitcoin real quick.
Yeah, do it.
They are rating that liquidity that I talked about before. This is why I'm not in a long position yet. I always expect for them. This is called chasing the tail. When they put in a wick like this, usually they come in and they chase their tail right afterwards, and they probe for liquidity. And so, that's what they're doing right now. They're retesting that 10,750 zone, see how much demand is still in that zone. Someone's stepping it down. I haven't seen like really, really big buys or sells come in to scare people off. We did see just looking at the MEX charts, it looks like we've really finally broken some downtrends. Each one of these broke out of its local downtrend. This pulled back to the 0.5 fib. It's retesting its highs. Here was the push. It broke up here, kind of retested it very shortly, and then pushed to a new high back up here. XRP is actually looking pretty good.
Stop.
I know, man.
Stop it.
Just short term. On 10x leverage, that's a nice little 40% move. 20x is the 90%, 80%, 90% move. And the volatility is so low and the liquidity is so low on BitMEX that your risk is just, you can really manage your risk on these really, really small pairs. I have been kicked off of BitMEX one too many times, even though I have an out-of-state entity that I was using for trading. Because I logged in from a US VPN, they still shut me down. And so I have not been looking too much at MEX alts. I've mostly just been trading Bitcoin. But that being said, there are some good opportunities here. Obviously, something like Ripple, you can just short it to oblivion when it's in a downtrend like this. As you can see, it just kind of comes up here, and then once it breaks that trend and dominance rises, well, this is a beautiful nice trade where you can just 10x leverage. That's a 250% move. And look at your risk. Your risk is 20-30%. Where if you're using your position sizes appropriately, then that's solid. Now this can be viewed as an ascending triangle, but I would view this more as a bearish, just a bearish channel, basically like a bear flag to the downside where sellers cannot. Here's a really quick thing on price action. One thing I learned a long time ago is I basically take the bottom support, I clone it, take it to the top. Okay, so this basically is our top zone. So what we want to look for is we want to look for something like this, where you get these supports, and the shorter amount of time it stays down here, that means that buyers are stepping in. We can also see we're making higher lows, but we're not really making higher highs because this was our high. But what you can do is you can use basically like a 50% line, and you want to look to see where price is gravitating around. So you can see basically somewhere around here, you can see price gravitates around this 50% level in between this channel. Now, one real quick and obvious thing you can see with price action, this will really help to shift your perception. This is buyers up top here, okay? And then this down here are sellers. And basically what you want to look for is you want to look for control of an asset. So when we've got a channel like this where we've got the top line, bottom line, what you can see is sellers are mostly in control because buyers cannot get it stepped back above the basically what I call the pivot zone. This is what's known, this zone right here is the fair value line that basically buyers and sellers are trying to decide what the fair value of this asset is in relation to Bitcoin. So when you see something like this and you see it kind of hanging out on this lower zone where it gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and then it starts to kind of hang out below this lower level here, that's when you know sellers are about to kind of step in. And you can see that on a lot of different charts, a lot of different analysis. You can do a channel down this way, but it's just a really quick and easy, simple way to see when buyers and sellers are kind of fighting for control. But yeah, some of these MEX alts do look good. Just from a very, very low time frame perspective, if you're trading on high leverage. Just because dominance is falling. So, with Ripple, I'd be looking for a move up to that 2,900 mark where it'll re-challenge this previous, decent support. And that's probably where I'd cut my position and then see where it falls back on a low time frame. Other than that, let me look at Bitcoin again. Yeah, we're stepping into that, 750 zone right here. No buyers really coming in on Agritrade that it looks like. Very, very weak buyback so far, and it really looks like we're kind of testing a little bit lower. So nothing to write home about on Bitcoin yet. ETH, we're getting a little bit of reaction here. The downtrend is still very, very much intact. Dominance is still very high, even on this thing got pretty steep. So we broke one level, so our next level to test is right here, 4% bounce. Let's look at a little bit more of a higher time frame here. I think we looked at this yesterday. For me, if I'm going to add, if I'm going to go in heavy, I'm going to want this level right here to get reclaimed. And that's that 24.5, 24.6 level. Until then, this might go up 20, 30%. But, not too interesting until we reclaim some of this high time frame stuff, especially on the weekly. We can bump this up a little bit more. Right here, that's probably the weekly zone. So when the weekly closes above that, that's when you can get in for, another 100, 200%, hopefully move as dominance falls. But let me see. You guys want us to take a look at anything specific? There's about 30 of you guys on here watching live. If there's anything you want us to look at specifically, just make sure you write that in the chat. We're just kind of free balling it here. Dominance, wow, dominance really having a field day here. As Bitcoin's dropping. I like to see Bitcoin fall and dominance fall at the same time, and we're coming up to that level, that 68.5 level. We took a few positions here in some alts, not too many, but enough to get some exposure on this little short pullback. Cost, yep, bounced off that trend line that I pointed out earlier, up 4% on the daily close.
Nice.
Anchor still hasn't gotten an SR flip on that 47 level. I would love to see it flip that. Link had a really nice push, selling off just a little bit, but let's take a look. Yeah, Dust kind of getting a little bit of sell off, as you had already mentioned. PHB not doing much. Aeon, A little bit of support, nothing too crazy. Civic basically just trapped a whole bunch of community members. That's a nasty wick.
Jesus, come on, that's brutal.
They trapped those breakout programs. Ren had this or Bitcoin BCPT, Block Mason Protocol. Yeah, I mean just shit coins, not a lot of volume. I'm really focusing on most of the high volume coins. Is one getting any action?
Let's see.
Still grinding upwards here. Bounced nicely out of the 101 zone here. Didn't come close. If you're in this trade, if you took this trade from the continuation channel, then you can move your stop up to break even. 101, you can just move this right up to break even. Because if it breaks down here, then it's probably going to come back and retest the 618 or the 786. But getting very apexy towards the end here. Hopefully we see a nice breakout here to the 17% level. All right, I'm going to let you take over some of these. We've got Lisk, BNB, Litecoin, EOS, and yeah, I'll let you take back over, man.
All right.
17 million sell wall at 750 got eating. A lot of big orders getting sold into today. So somebody's filling up some longs.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Lisk BTC. Let's take a look. All right. Good rounded. Very nice. Severe downtrend. Let's take a look at that daily real quick. Let's get an idea of what's happening here. All right. Disaster chart. I know. Try not to focus on it too much. In fact, I'll do this just to make you happy. There it is. Clean. Every once in a blue moon, especially when you look at charts, you accumulate all these ideas over and over and over again. And some of these lines you like to keep on here because they do repeat themselves over and over and over again. But it's good to just hit that reset button. just delete everything, start over, and maybe you visually see something you didn't see before, or maybe you get into to the habit of seeing something that really rings a bell, and then you want to emphasize that a second time.
Really big buy volume. That's pretty crazy.
For Bitcoin?
No, I'm looking at your Lisk chart. I mean, I'm just seeing a lot of buy volume there.
Yeah, there's a pretty good amount here. Let's see, the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the last like 9 days or so trading under average. But we are starting to finally get a little bit of buying here. But we could see, a little bit of buying here and that failed. A little bit of buying here, that failed. A little buying here, that failed. Every time we got a little bit of buying, it all failed so far. So, we are painting lower lows. That's pretty clear. If you're an Elliott Wave guy, I'm sure you'll recognize this right here, and this right here. I don't know enough about it, so I don't really mess with it. But it is something to keep in mind that you did have a pretty sharp impulse, good retrace, a weaker impulse with a weaker retrace, and then a very sharp with another very sharp retrace, and then another dramatic down. So this down over here was slightly lower, and that's what's painting ourselves a new lower low. So, again, you're very much in a downtrend. On the daily, you got your low, you got your high, you got your higher low, and you got your higher high. You've essentially established somewhat of a local trend, and that you could play off of that temporarily, especially on lower time frames. You could try to stay within trend. You got to give yourself some kind of leeway with something like this, because you need to adjust it on the fly for what happens, because you just don't have enough daily activity here. But visually speaking, you are trying to get to an area of breakaway. So that's this right here. You had resistance, you pulled back, you had resistance, you gave up, and you had resistance, and now you broke above it. So this is the first time you're breaking above a level that you can at least get a little bit excited about. As you look left, you got to look for opportunities where that could be a problem. So just pull out your horizontal ray, lock it up, and just start laying out some lines here. So this would have been the first area where you should have seen some reaction. This is the low, the pivot point. This is your swing low that brought the high that created this new low. So that's why that's important. And you did break above it. So you broke above it, you closed above it, and this is your confirmation candle right now. Again, this candle is brand new, right? It's only got about an hour and 7 minutes on it. So you can't do too much with it. But the candle prior, which is the one we're speaking about, is the break and close above. All right, so this is your confirmation candle that you're getting now. So that's good. You want to identify other areas. So if you're going to come up to them, these would just be important zones. So I know it looks a little messy, but this at least gives you a visual representation of what you may be looking at just on the local side. Now, typically you wouldn't throw your fib just on this one area. You would want something a lot bigger. But I want to see if the extension down lower makes sense, that drop, and it really doesn't. So it's not that it's an arbitrary area of support, but for this particular move, it did not line up to a 127 or anything even close for that matter. It's just sort of out in midair. Now, if we look like way left, and then we put an extension on something larger, we could see an area where that might be a 1618 on the bigger move. So you could do stuff like this in your free time as you get a super bored, and we're miles away from anything. So there's not too much to look at here. But again, major downtrend, haven't crossed it. This is the key focal point to watch for. That's going to be your trend. So anything you do until then is a counter trend trade. You're looking to at least get bullish up to trend once again, test it, break it, close above it, push up, and then you got all these other levels to deal with. That's when you could throw a fib on here and start getting an idea on what you're actually doing. This would be a good indication right here on how far you've come back. So remember with fibs, like you always lay it out for the future. So we're laying this fib out to see what the retrace is, measuring areas of resistance along the way. That's why we paint it left to right. So this over here, our next stop, right, is the 236. That's essentially what we're looking for. And that does coincide with this area right here. So even though we did drop down and this price action happened prior to our low, that's going to be our next major level. And our next major level would coincide with the wick from above. So it's going to be sort of like a double top area to look out for if we do establish an actual reversal here. Which, you know, is too early to tell. But this one confirmation to close above that is about the only thing you have going for you, at least as far as price action is concerned. You might have something else on indicators. TTM squeeze is looking good, 1, 2, 3 days to the upside. So you have your 1, 2 day reversal confirmation on day 2. That's painted. Now you're on your 3rd day. So that's good over here. MACD, you're looking all right. Again, you have that divergence that we just talked about. So you could tell because you know, right? We just stared at that chart. You know it's a lower low, and you know right here you have a higher low, right? So you're looking MACD, 1x divergence, signal line as well. RSIs, these are 2. This is a 14 and a 7. The fast is white, the slow is blue, and these lines are dedicated to a 70-30 and 85-15. It is nice to sort of watch how they react with one another, how the crossovers work, and how a faster one reacts to a 7-day period and a slower one reacts to a 14-day period. So yeah, you have a couple things going for you. Again, super risky trade. It's something that you could just keep an eye of and keep your stops tight. You know, don't allow it to drop any lower than its previous low because you're in price discovery at that point. It could literally go to one set, and you just don't want to be stuck holding anything anything like that. All right, Sam. So that's Lisk. Let's see, LTC and EOS. Matthew, you want LTC, EOS, BTC, or USD? Same thing with BNB, Denny, and XLM. I ask because I generally trade for the most part USDT, so most of my charts are USDT. But a lot of traders are in the accumulation phase of Bitcoin, so they are trading to Bitcoin. So they're looking for anything that outperforms Bitcoin. That's the idea with that, and you're not worried about short-term USD value. It should mean nothing to you at the moment. So we'll pull up. We did talk about Litecoin, but we'll pull it up again anyway. LTC, BTC. And so, like Jacob was saying, we pushed down. We had a nice level. We did finally find support, and we're starting to reverse this thing with a little bit of gusto that we haven't seen in quite some time. So we'll take any of these big candles we can get on something like Litecoin. Litecoin has struggled lately. It's been fairly disappointing on the USDT trades. It has been just as disappointing, it looks like, on the BTC trades. Big area of accumulation. So you had ping pong over here on the daily chart. This is just boring price action. Ranges like this, you can play once they're established, where you can literally trade this every day and rip yourselves hopefully between like 1% and 2%. These are 7% swing moves. This is amazing, right? You could have done let's see, buy, sell. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you would have got 6 trades at 7% a trade. That's fantastic. The problem is you won't recognize you're in the range till about the third or fourth candle. So it could always just dump lower. So you got to keep your stop tight, and it could always push up higher, and you keep that stop tight if you're going short. Something like Litecoin's nice because you can long and short it. So these would just be flip plays. You essentially have whatever, let's say 1,000 contracts. You go long, you have 2,000 to sell. So you're back to 1,000. Now you're 1,000 on the short side, 2,000 on the buy, and then you're back. So you essentially just flip flop and book profits all the way across the board for each one of these until it's invalid, right? It's just like trend trading. You're going to buy every pullback on the way up until the pullback doesn't go back up, right? So you trade the trend until the trend is invalid. So Litecoin's good, right? We talked about that earlier. It looks a lot better on the shorter time frame charts. So something like a 4-hour will at least give you, the actual price action here. You got your low, you got your high. Not exactly a tweeter top, but it did bring it down to the bottom. That's a nice pullback right here. So just on the 4-hour chart, we could see these levels are respected. It's a perfect 618. I mean, to the freaking set, and then push back up. Now this is technically, for now, it is a swing fail, but this would be fairly common, well within trend. So I wouldn't put too much weight into that unless you had reaction and then much further downside. There's not too much to look at here as far as swing fails are concerned. This is really what you're looking at. You're looking at the trend in continuations. This is your new level of support. You break it and fail to the downside, it's over. And this is your new level of resistance, just temporarily. That swing fail is more or less just a temporary eyeball just on your way up. You do want to break it clean, but put less significance on a 4-hour chart than you would on, let's say, something like a daily. This is also bullish too. So you got 1, 2 on the bull, push up, break, get yourself a new higher high. And then you have a well-established reversal trend, and you have plenty of areas where you're going to be looking to get into, at least on the Bitcoin chart. The USD chart is not looking as good.
So on Litecoin, just to kind of echo some of your sentiments, I was seeing something like this. This was one of the things that I was looking at, where we saw basically we had 1, 2, 3, 4 touches on this top diagonal trend line here, and then we broke out, retested it here. And again, we hit that 618 bounce. I didn't buy there, but here's a decent place to add if you're on a MEX long. Right in through this zone, because it's very, very, basically you can just set your stop loss 1 to 2%. And then the targets for this, what you'll find is that the 1272 shows up a lot on Litecoin. Let me just, template, where is this at? Yeah, this will be fine. Okay. So you'll see that this 1272 right here, let me just delete this one right here. So if you take a fib from here, the 1272 is very, very good at getting targets for Litecoin. So you can see it's hit that 79.80, which is also that downtrend. So then going off of that same concept, we'll go from the top here and we'll go down here. And so the 1272, 8200, that's where I'd be targeting for the Litecoin trade. So about 5%, but on 10x, that's 57%, 55%. We also have very clear on the hourly. We held our 30 zone here, which was that 618 pullback. But as I said before, we're pushing up into the 70s. So this is a bullish control zone. Whereas back here where we couldn't get above 70, this is a bearish control zone. And it's very easy to see that because below 70, we're penetrating below 30. Can't hold it, can't hold it, can't hold it. But as soon as we broke above 30 here, or both broke above 70 on the hourly, well, we just reverted to a low time frame bullish control zone. And this will go on until we see that 30 drop again. So bearish control zone, and you can see exactly what happened as soon as we dropped there. We lost our 200 EMA on the hourly, 29% drop. We broke up here, retested, and so right now we're in a bullish control zone, and so this thing could go 1618, 8% to the 2618, which is 16%, which also correlates to our Bitcoin dominance dropping a bit. Okay, let's see. For that breakout. When you say 10x on Litecoin Bitcoin, does it mean you can leverage Litecoin as well? Yeah, on BitMEX you can leverage Litecoin. 10x just means for every 1% that it moves, it's actually 10%. So you can do one of two things, right? So let me just break this down from a mathematical perspective. So if you're trading with 1 Bitcoin, but you really want to trade with 10 Bitcoin, you can do a 10x leverage. So it's like you have 10 Bitcoin. But for every 1% that it drops, so if it drops 3.35%, that's a 33.5% loss. But if it pops 7%, that's a 77.5%. So your risk reward ratio is very similar. It just increases those percentages gained and lost. So you can, if you took the 21-day challenge, or if you took my risk management workshop in the training section on the website, then you'll understand that it doesn't really matter how, if your stop loss is 33%, like let's say you want that stop loss below the swing low here. So if your stop loss is 33%, well, then you just change your position size so that, let's say you're trading with $5,000 and you only want to risk 1%. So you got $50. Well, then you divide that by 0.33 and that gives you a position size of $151. So that $151, you can, basically put that up for margin. And so you'll know that that'll drop 33%, but that $151 is actually $1,500 because you got 10x on it. So you're really only risking $151 with a 33% stop loss. Hopefully that made sense. Kind of.
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Leverage 101 in 30 seconds or
Leverage
less.
101 is yeah, we're almost done with the 21-day margin trader course. So that'll be a lot of fun. And that's coming up pretty soon. I think a lot of people are looking forward to that.
Nice.
Okay, cool. So Litecoin, Bitcoin, USDT, BNB. Did you already do BNB?
I did not.
Okay, let me I'll let you work your magic on BNB. And ooh, look at this Bitcoin getting sold down 10,700.
Say what?
Raiding liquidity. Oh shit, we were getting some sells. 10,700 on the money. 10,690, 1.9 million, 2.4 million, 10,686. We're seeing the liquidations come in now. Oh my goodness, 10,658, $1.8 million liquidation long. I feel like I'm at an auction. 10,650, $2.1 million liquidation long. 10,000. Oh my gosh, they're coming in hot. 10,621, 10,645. Yeah, and this is why I'm not long yet, because I knew they wanted to raid this liquidity. Oh my God, 10,591.
Oh, there's the buy-in.
Put it in 1.8 million, 10,619.
10.6. We got buys. 10.586.
And here they come.
All right, don't worry. They're coming back. They're eating it up. 1 hour chart. Hey, smash and grab. Take what you can and run.
What did BNB do on that? Did BNB break out?
BNB. Well.
Oh yeah, dude. Hell yeah. 27.
Yeah. I mean, we got selling on the daily. So, that's USDT. I'm sorry.
Come on now.
You guys don't trade
We're
that.
stacking Satoshis over here.
You guys don't trade that. So let me throw on BNB.
No, I trade USD, but
I got bills to pay. That's why I pay. All right, so
Hey,
here's what we got. Yes, we did get a breakout. Pretty
27.30.
good.
Yeah.
Not bad overall. Ooh, let's see. Let's get rid of
What
all
else
of
we got? What else we
that.
got here?
Smash that.
FTM looking to push that underside right after I sold it out.
Okay. Yeah, so this is pretty good. It's a good buyback level, is what it looks like. Let's go to the daily chart right now. Yeah, still, still not. It's not great. We did just cross the 20 on the daily, so that's good. Breaking close above that. First time we did that. That was yesterday's close, so that just happened 2 hours ago. Today we've been bullish. We got the 50 that we're creeping up on. That's on the daily chart. So that could be a big deal, at least one area of resistance. That doesn't always be a factor on the way up. But this right here, this 200 EMA, that's probably going to be a factor. And that's 3160. That's going to be that level right there. So if you're looking at just for today, if you're to get a big smash candle, looking at a 10.5% move right now. That is confluent with our high that brought us our low. So this move right here, this big dramatic drop and the big V bottom push, if you're able to double top that, you're going to be right at the 200 EMA. That'd be a great trade, but it'd be one that I wouldn't be looking for any further upside unless something major happened. In other words, we got major volume shift coming in, or dominance really broke down significantly, or Bitcoin went to zero. Other than that, I would expect major resistance at this level, and at least get the dump for now, which would give you the opportunity to at least buy back in at a lower rate. So I would be guessing on the daily chart, if you're going to see a big move, right, your first level to push to would be 27,711. This will give you that area of hesitation. And then your next level will be the downside bottom over here, 29,234. And then, of course, you're looking at that 200 EMA at 29,950. We're in the 30,000 zone. But we are, still making lower lows. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're not able to break and close above that 200 in the next week or so, consider this just further downside. So you could play these trends similar. So something like this. And you'd have to watch for, channel progression too. So if you were doing something like, something similar to that, then you'd ride that channel up and ride the channel down. This, from what Bitcoin's doing right now and how dominance is looking, this should look strong enough, especially the break and close above. You are trading underneath your 7 to 9 EMAs. Ideally they will cross over the course of this day, if not tomorrow. So that would be a bullish cross, faster EMAs, above slower 20 MA, and then further upside after that.
Ooh, Link just took the top 60-minute volume on my scanner. Ooh.
Did it really?
Hell yeah, let's go. I got a nice big old position in Link right now.
Nice.
Stinky
nice.
Linky.
Oh man.
Putting in work.
This Bitcoin. Hold on a second. I gotta look at something real quick. BTC. Let's see. USD. They just added Bybit, so this will be interesting.
Oh, for real? Hell yeah! I didn't know.
Yeah.
That.
So it'll be. How they actually put decent history on. Wow, man, I'm surprised. All right. Good. So this is the Bybit chart. This will trade slightly differently than the others, just based off of liquidity. But it is nice for those of us that are on Bybit as opposed to MEX. Then we do at least have some sort of indication on what's shaking here. So the low on Bybit, 10,605. We did lose the 20. Obviously, that's going to be across the board on a daily chart. So we did lose the 20. That was perfect support. We saw that yesterday. We talked about that at the close. And, this is now bearish, right? We've lost our neckline support from the Adam and Eve. That's this right here. Although that's super choppy. But because we lost that, now you have what chart am I on? Oh, damn it. Anyway, so now that you lost all that, now you got to look at further downside, unless you get buying recovery. So if we see something like, the 15-minute chart and it's got nothing but, massive volume and huge wicks and everybody's buying it back up, then you start to say, all right, well, we might find some hesitation.
Yeah,
Or
especially if we can get because the daily closed above it. Ooh, we got a $2 million buy at 10,660. There we go. Hey, there's some buy volume coming in.
yeah, so like if you ever want to watch the activity, I used to set up I don't have it anymore, but I used to have a template where I would have a three-way screen, and you look at the hourly, you look at the 5, and you look at the 1, and a 4 screen where you look at the daily, and then you look at the 60 to 5 and 1, or the 15 5 and 1. But it's nice to just watch, especially during the close, because that's where the volatility's at. And it's nice to watch this type of movement because this gives you the idea that you're watching the trading live, right? You're understanding what those wicks represent. When you look at this same thing on a 4-hour chart, it's a lot harder to tell, like, what were people really thinking in that zone? You look at the aftermath, and sure, you could diagnose the candle from an open, close, high, low perspective, but you can't really see the action at the time. This candle, even though it was painted the way it's painted, it doesn't mean it looked like that for the entire 4-hour period. It could have looked a full-on bearish candle for, the better part of 4 hours, 3 hours and 50 minutes. All that could have came in 10 minutes. So it's nice every now and then just to swing into those, 5, 15, even 1 minute charts and just kind of see the reaction. This is, if you were playing 15-minute scalps, right? This is very bullish. This is a huge buyback, big wick, huge buyback, massive volume, does give selling pressure, but your next candle opens much higher. And again, another period of buying. So this is, believe it or not, it's a bullish case if you wanted to make a short, quick move, only up to, let's say, temporary support. It's 1%. But like Jacob said, 1% on 10x is 10%. So this is just something to do in your off time, just to understand price action, understand charts, understand what these wicks actually mean, the buying that actually happens. Just like Jacob has the aggregator on that'll show you huge BitMEX orders and orders across the board, right? That you could visually see as they're happening. You could watch liquidations come in. Yeah, I mean, you could see them. And just like on that, they have alerts, for whale alerts, and then they have alerts for BitMEX Rect. You'll see these liquidations coming in, but that gives you that one edge that not every trader is looking for. If you start to see all longs are getting liquidated, right? That means price is coming way down low, but that's a huge surge. So you get an artificial smash to a level that's going to come back quickly, right? Because you're getting all of this influence from liquidations. You're not getting it from trading. That's not someone saying, I want to sell at this level. That's someone who got screwed at that level and didn't manage his trade properly. So those generally come back right away. And if not for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that could literally be the end of that particular trend. So those are wicks where you can get in, you can hop in at the bottom of that wick or near that wick while the buying is happening, while those liquidation orders are coming in. You can ride that along for, 3, 6, 7, 10, 12%. All depends on the trend and the trading. So it's just something to keep in mind, something to watch. But yeah, this is coming back in for the sales. Yeah, it might hit 10-4 tonight. I mean, it's not finding a whole lot of buying.
Yeah, I missed my damn short sell. My algorithm went short at like 11,380 or something like that, and I missed it, and then it just never gave any sort of a pullback. I mean, that little tiny bounce off the 200 EMA, but not enough to give me like a confident setup.
Yeah, you were right here. You were right here, and then it just dumped. It never bumped back up. Once it hit that low right here, 10,388, it just
We are
dumped.
sitting on this the 200-day simple moving average though.
We are. All right, let's see.
200 4 hour.
Oh, I probably won't get that on Bybit. But yeah, I guess we got 204-hour periods. Yep. So here we are right here with that kind of ghosted out orange. That's this guy right here.
Oh, you know what? There is some news coming in.
It's over.
There's
What?
some,
What do you got?
There's some news breaking. One of the most prestigious banking relationships in crypto. It actually coincided with the dump. One of the most prestigious banking relationships in crypto has officially ended. Barclays and Coinbase no longer banking.
Barclays no longer serving Coinbase. Interesting. Okay. So that's how they were insuring Coinbase Pro USD.
Well,
Wallets.
that's some FUD.
Yeah. $0. Reminds me of like a bad day in high school.
What's that?
Zero. Whenever I see zero tolerance.
$0. There's this bank called Clearbank who's pretty solid. Clearbank, I've been hearing a lot of stuff about lately.
Okay. Clearbank. I don't know anything
Apparently,
about.
they're using Clearbank.
So that already happened a while ago.
No, that literally coincided with the dump.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's see. Dominance should have dropped significantly. It didn't. It dropped, but not significantly. 67.88 on CoinTrader Pro. So it's still pretty far away from hitting its support line. We'll see if that makes it there. This is the kind of relief bounce though that alts really do need, especially if they're going to get another cycle down. You kind of got to do 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or else they're all just going to be sitting at zero, and that's not good. So this is good. This is kind of exactly what we want. It's not that we want the dump in Bitcoin, but it does allow breathing room for the alts, and the alts have really been suffering pretty hard lately. So it's not a terrible thing. Not all dumping is bad, and it does give buying opportunities for a lot of people. So if you were looking at that 10.8 zone for a buy and creep it back up to 11.5, 11.8, it's not terrible. It's probably a little too early to make that call just yet. This is kind of heavy dumping, so you don't want to jump in too early and just watch it dump another $1,000. That's not good. But support is holding at that 200 for now on the 4 hour. We did get buying back. So we'll see. The last time we got buying back, we only dumped on the next period. So we'll see. For now, we got a little bit of buying. Let's check that hourly chart. Yeah. So the hourly chart, from our open candle and down, right? So let's see, we closed out at 8 o'clock. So that was right here. Instant dump. And then we had a buyback push touch up to the fast EMA and then selling, right? So far we're seeing on the low side, 10,564 was our low. Brutal.
Still coming in. Mathy, the website that I'm using is a website called AggRtrade, AGGR.trade. That's the URL that you can put in there, and you can see those live bids coming in. Okay, so what else was I going to cover? If you guys wouldn't mind, I have a favor to ask you. We've got about 22 people on. I am launching a new podcast, and before I go to before I launch to the public, the podcast planner guy wants me to get a few reviews. So if you don't mind taking a few seconds out of your day to go to Apple and leave a review, that would be amazing, so that we can get this podcast launched. Sales are coming in, man. We just saw another $1 million worth of longs getting liquidated. breaking down.
Check the weekly on Coinbase. Look at that support right at the 70 MA. Hasn't quite hit it yet, 10.524, but that's the weekly showing support kind of for not for the first time, but it was good support here. We lost it. We got it back last week, and now we're looking to hold it for the first time in a while. Those faster AMAs on higher time frame charts are pretty cool. You can watch them sort of dance around a little bit. That's why I have two. I have the 7 and the 9. Where one you can see where one catches where one fails, right, the next will catch. So that's how it starts at the 7, goes to the 9. You're all good. You're still in trend. Starts at the 7, goes to the 9. You lost it here, so it's over temporarily. You got it back. So again, you repeat the process. First the 7, then the 9. Stay within trend. So we'll see. That can get pushed and bend, right? That's how all moving averages work. So price can actually push that and bend it, and then come back up in price. And by the time it's painted, it'll look like it held it. So there's flexibility there. It's not a static support resistance. It does move. It is dynamic. But man, these cells, woo! This reminds me of the old scalping days. We'd have like freaking 30 people in a room on a Discord looking at 1 to 5 minute charts, screaming out patterns and plays and volumes. It was a total shit show, but it was probably some of the most fun I've had.
Trading is a lonely existence, man. Look at that Litecoin. Ooh, come on, baby.
Dude, that is at that zone, man. So it like we talked about before, right? The irrelevant swing fail for now. You did break it clearly. Looking good. This is the 4-hour chart. So that has another 2.5 hours on it. I'd imagine we at least get up to this double top, and then you got levels to look at. Once you break this and you're out of that scary double top and drop feel, then it's trend. That's when you start breaking this stuff out, and you're like, all right, well, cool. A, B, C, D, 618, 127. So you're looking at 127 easy would be right here. So that gets you right at that same level, right? Right at that same level of discern that we saw before. That's this level back here. So something like that is good. You could target that 127. You could target the 1618. So if you were going to go 1618, that puts
Good
you.
God, Bitcoin Cash is still pushing. I put a reversal in there in my reversal chart.
Did you for Bcash?
Yeah, but it's pushing pretty nice, man.
Man, things are moving, and Dusk USDT is dumping. Unbelievable. Can't catch a break on this thing.
You didn't play it from before. Look at this thing, dude. Look at BCH.
What is that?
BCH, very nice candle. I'm watching for a pullback, not getting shit here, but we are coming against this high time frame resistance. But off the bottom here, it's made a solid 28% move.
Oh, wow. Hell yeah.
TRX looks like it's going to want to come up and retest that 200 MA. ETH, again, I mean, yeah, these coins are pumping, man. Again, Ripple, dude, hey, 27.83. Like I said, you were laughing, but hey.
It's only because
it's a shitcoin. Yeah, it's terrible.
Hey, look.
ADA had this nice flip on the 50% fib. I've been watching that, but on the 4-hour, we haven't really gotten above the 70 on the RSI. So once we hit that, then we'll be looking for pullbacks. Because I mean, this is not a meme, but it's worth exploring for you guys. People are excited about this move, and it's good because it's a 20% move, but in the context of things, we haven't even reclaimed the listing level on Binance. I mean, this thing, that's what we want to see, at least reclaim just this high time frame resistance. You can always tell when school starts back up, man, because you get sick from like all the freaking little kids, man. I got a cold right now. It's stupid. Yeah, but we're still at this downtrend level. Once this breaks and then we get this pullback, that'll be a beautiful long for ADA. But if conservative traders, it's probably best just to wait for this 35-40% move and then enter in above 630. Just from a trading perspective, if you're investing in this thing, we're moving up, but we're still not above this 50 RSI level on the daily, so well worth it to watch. All right, guys, that has been
I know
2 hours, 2 hours and 10 minutes, man. We gotta shorten these up. People got things to do with their lives. But yeah, we're gonna be doing this every day for you guys. Again, depending on availability, we do have this nice falling wedge on ADA though. Depending on availability, so just stay tuned every day. We'll send out that the show notes, and then for those that want to watch, this is recorded. I'll put the link to the podcast below. If you guys could leave a review, I would really appreciate it. And I've got some really good guests on there. If you guys want me to interview anybody, if you guys have specific traders that you follow that you want on, let me know and I'll get a hold of them, and then we'll go from there. But all right, cool. We'll see you guys soon, and yeah, let's keep stacking some sats.
Sounds good.
Murad is my first episode, Matthew. Now, remember, guys, just because something's not a signal doesn't mean you can't trade it, right? I mean, just use your proper risk management, use your stop losses, practice all the stuff that you learned. If you spot something, tag me in the chat, tag one of the analysts, ask us to review it. Post your own charts in the on-demand TA. This is very much a signal service, but it's also a teach you guys how to fish service as well. And that 21-day challenge is $50. I'd make sure you get that. Just so you can really learn the basics of TA, risk management, trader psychology, all that fun stuff. So cool. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and then we'll go from there.